talk about the royal family and give a warm welcome to royal commentator Sarah Robertson. Hi, Sarah.
Hello, Kevin. Good evening, shall I say? Good
evening. Yes, we've just moved past 1800 hours, so it's now the evening, isn't it? Interesting article in the Mail yesterday suggesting that, that we know about Harry and Meghan's business fortunes, but in essence, their media empire has collapsed, imploded. They've lost the Spotify deal, and we hear Netflix may not long be for this world either, as far as they're concerned, that Netflix are unhappy with them. In other words, the Archwell business empire isn't working out. Then we hear that Meghan still has set her sights on Hollywood. She's taken on a new agent who's trying to get her various influencer type work. She still wants to forge a showbiz career. Harry has quite clearly demonstrated showbiz isn't for him. He has no idea what he's doing, has ideas like, let's make Emily in Paris only with a bloke. Yeah, great, Harry, marvellous idea. Why don't I go and interview Putin and Trump and the Pope about their childhood traumas? Yeah, nice idea, Harry. Off you go. Thank you. Showbiz hasn't worked out for him. It's not for him. And we're now hearing that he's off to Africa to make a documentary about worthy things. She's showbiz, Hollywood still. He's not. The suggestion is they are living increasingly separate lives.
That's correct, Kevin. Their actual name right now, their professional name within Hollywood circles, within American power circles, is in tatters at the moment. Their reputation is in tatters. Both of them refuse to take any responsibility for this. They keep trotting out this line that they've just been unlucky because of the pandemic, because the Queen died.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Because Prince Philip got ill, that meant that Harry and Meghan were unlucky because he hogged all the headlines. Really?
Exactly. And also they think it's us wicked media as well,
of course,
sowing the seeds of dissent. So they will not take any responsibility for any of their actions, and for this ultimately coming down to them, that they didn't produce what Spotify paid them to do. Meghan can't get the names that she wanted. She was trying to get the likes of Taylor Swift, A-listers like Taylor Swift, Katy Perry, other big Hollywood stars. They don't want to touch her. They don't want anything to do with her. So she's been rejected by the very people whose circle she wants to be mixing in. This is what she's always craved, is this A-list Hollywood lifestyle. And she thought marrying into the British royal family was going to elevate her to a status of what Princess Diana had, to be the most famous woman in the world, the most pursued, talked about woman in the world, who everybody hangs off their every word and wants to be affiliated to and wants to be seen with and to do business deals with, which ultimately lines her financial pockets. This hasn't worked out the way that she had planned. So now Meghan's going on to a plan B. She's looked at Harry and thought, well, it's not working with you. I'm getting dragged down with you, who clearly hates being in the spotlight. So she's actually landed. She's come back again. She is the queen of the comebacks, is Meghan. I have to hand it to her. She really is. She's landed a massive, massive Hollywood power broker in the form of Ari Emanuel from WME. He's been seen as the person that you want on your side in Hollywood if you're going to make it. I mean, he has his work cut out for him. I was going to say,
what deals has he got so far? Any?
Well, at the moment, there's talks about a new book that she's going to be doing with a feminist edge. That will sink without trace.
That sounds awful.
No.
You see, but Sarah, the thing is, when you talk about the feminist book, this is exactly where both her and Harry have gone wrong. Everything is woke and worthy, and if it's not about them pouring a bucket on the British royal family, no one is interested. That's what that guy, what's his name, Bill Simmons said from Spotify. He said, if they're not talking about the royals, if they're not pouring a bucket on the king's head, nobody cares what they've got to say. So if she's going to write a feminist book with a feminist edge, it'll die a terrible death.
terrible death. Rubbish. It'll be one of her rubbish ideas she's put to him, and he'll just go along with it and kowtow with it, and then get her to do something else. So he will be trying to take her away from Harry and separate them so they're not seen as a joint brand, and get Meghan to be seen in her own merit as her own individual. He'll be taken away, getting her to do more charity stuff, more philanthropic, more. Sorry,
philanthropic.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah. Sorry. Normally I can't say that word. But that's the one line he's going to want to take her down, but also take her back into Hollywood, which is going back to her acting roots and her celebrity roots, and being seen as somebody that Hollywood producers want to work with. Meghan does want, she's always harbored ambitions to be a big power producer in Hollywood, along the lines of her old boss, Bonnie, who got her the role in Suits. She likes the idea of that, of being the woman who has all the power behind the scenes and can control others. So this is the line he's going to be trying to take her down, to move her into these A-list Hollywood circles that she's been desperate to move in for years. She thought she'd made it when she got the interview with Oprah Winfrey. She thought that was it. Yeah. She was in those circles, and having the likes of Beyonce and Jay-Z when they came to the Lion King premiere in London in 2019. But they only came to that because at that time Meghan and Harry were still members of the British royal family, working members, shall I say correctly, of the British royal family. They're not now. But Meghan's still trying to hang on to that Hollywood glitter and gloss.
And he's had enough of it, hasn't he, Sarah? Because he hates it, doesn't he?
Like chalk and cheese. Those two are like chalk and cheese. I mean, Meghan came out when they got married. She came out with some sickly, syrupy Hollywood saying of, oh, my husband and I were like salt and pepper. We moved together at the same time, or some such guff she trotted out. But it just shows that, no, they don't. They are like chalk and cheese. Harry has no interest in that world whatsoever. Why would he? He was a member of the British royal family, the most talked about family in the world. Why would he have to lower himself to sort of try hanging around with actors and actresses? He doesn't need to do that. His father's the king. Head of the Commonwealth.
Although somewhat estranged at the moment. Can we move on to a domestic royal story, if we can, Sarah? In the papers today, some of the royal family have decided not to take part in diversity and inclusivity training programmes, despite the Lady Susan Hussey scandal. And this was voluntary schemes aimed at curing people of unconscious bias. That's that process whereby wokies will tell you, even though you don't think you're racist, you are racist. You're unconsciously biased against people of colour. You are unconsciously a racist. Now, it seems that all royals were invited to attend these courses, and many of them have just said, that's not for us, we're not doing it. Interesting.
Well, I mean, you can't blame them, can you? I mean, the royal family, or should I say the courtiers, were just following suit to shut up those, as you say, the politically correct, the woke mob, who came down on them after the Ngozi Fulani scandal last year with Lady Susan Hussey. So they're just following what all big corporations are doing, and nodding and dotting the I's and crossing the T's and nodding along and saying, yes, we'll have a diversity watchdog come in. Yes, we'll do these courses. We'll make them available for staff if they want to go on them. And the royal family themselves, they won't say who's refused to do them, no. But they've said they're available for staff. Some staff have taken advantage of them, and have gone along and done it and found it very useful. But we don't know which members of the royal family.
Well, let me do a bit of, shall we say, well-informed speculation. I would suggest, Sarah, if you said to Princess Anne, fancy a bit of unconscious bias training, I think the second word of her reply would be off.
Yes, exactly. And I think we know what the first word would begin with as well, and quite right too. So I'm with Princess Anne. And can you imagine her father, the late Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, what he would have thought to it all? It was just bloody disgrace. Yeah. And a few other expletives as well.
Yes, exactly.
So, but this is the world we live in now. I mean, Harry obviously talked about unconscious bias, didn't he, at the time when he married Meghan, and said, the British people, and the media were showing unconscious bias towards his choice of wine. But I mean, the whole term itself, unconscious bias, is paradoxical in itself, because if you're unconscious, then how can you know?
Yeah, well,
it's just.
I know. It's ridiculous to me, but it seems to be controlling the narrative at the moment, isn't it?